Welcome to Turmeric and Tequila with your host, Kristen Olson. Questioning a better way, one gracefully disruptive conversation at a time.
Welcome to Turmeric and Tequila. I'm so excited to be with you here today. This is an impromptu cast, and I'm going to tell you why in a couple seconds. But first things first, let's give a little love to our title sponsor, Lux Neuro, offering neurofeedback and counseling where your heart and mind align. For more information about neurofeedback and what it can do for you, listen to the neurofeedback stories of transformation in the middle of this podcast. Neurofeedback can effectively treat everything from insomnia, anxiety, depression, trauma, ADHD, and much more. Optimize your brain. We appreciate neurofeedback and the team. And Declan James watches. Let's go. Always hard to get a good angle on the camera if you're watching this on YouTube, but they're awesome. Veteran owned. One of my friends I train with at CrossFit, 10% goes back to the Navy SEAL Foundation. They're beautiful timepieces. They will last a lifetime and with a lifetime guarantee. So check them out. So today I have, if you've listened to Turmeric and Tequila, you know, obviously I'm a longtime athlete, entrepreneur, coach, blah, blah, blah. But I have been talking about this choir, and if when different guests come on, I'll say, oh yeah, I actually want to build a choir. And it's super, super random. And however, like as time's going on, it's just getting heavier and heavier on my mind, and it's in my head at night. And when I think about it, like in the car, you know, you get in flow, and like I will just, there's so much energy behind it. I'll just tear up and cry. And I'm not sad. I don't know. It's just this thing that's coming through. So I wanted to get on the mic. I don't know if you guys out there have ever experienced such a thing, but this has really been on my mind. And the more that I've tried to consciously unpack it, because I know it's just tugging at my soul to figure this out, I realize how much I know how much I love music and how much I've really wanted to be in the music industry since the very beginning. So I started to think about it, and I was like, God, you know, I just got to get on the mic and talk about it and put it out there and say, I want to build a choir. And we'll unpack this a little bit, but starting out, when I was younger, I think it was like third or fourth grade, maybe. I have a picture of it. I love dance. I wanted to be a dancer. Again, I don't know if that was actually in the cards to be a professional dancer or not. Thank goodness athletics took over. But I remember being at the talent show, and two of my friends were incredible gymnasts, and they were on stage doing this like really cool gymnastics routine. And I was like, you know, I feel wrong being in the audience. Like I feel like I should be on the stage doing something and doing a dance or performing, which is super weird because no one really, my mom was in a choir when she was younger, like in high school, but no one's really musically inclined. No one's an actor, like none of that. My uncle, shout out to my uncle Darren, Professor Splash. He is probably the most on stage of all of us. He's been incredible. He's on America's Got Talent. He's got tons of world records for shallow water dives. Check him out, Professor Splash. You'll find him. He's, like I said, he's everywhere. He's probably the most theatrical out of us, but it's not, I couldn't say it's really in the blood. So it's bizarre that this is out there. My whole family does love music. So when I was in, you know, I think it was third or fourth grade, I remember seeing the audience being like, next year I definitely want to be on the stage. So I took dance lessons by myself. One year I did it with my friend, and we did the talent show, and our tape, it was Everybody Dance Now, stopped, like literally the cassette tape, that's how old I am, stopped, and we just stood there on stage and froze. And then it like picked back up. I think the literal piece of tape got caught up or something. It's so hilarious. This was the thing. Anyways, I was like devastated. It was the biggest deal. Like our performance, like I think we finished it, and that was the whole thing. And then the next year I did it by myself. I'm pretty sure. It might be flat, but I'm pretty sure the second year I just did it for myself, and I danced to Paula Abdul's Forever Your Girl. And it was just me doing a dance by myself for the talent show in the school, which is kind of bizarre. Like I think back to my young self, and I always say to my guests, like, how are you as a young person? I kind of forgot about some of these things. I haven't even checked in enough and like really dug deep on like what I was doing as a kid. Obviously sports and the you know, the obvious answers were there, but when I really thought about it, I'm like, I think I did kind of always want to be on stage. If you know me, you're probably thinking like, girl, you always think you're on stage. In some capacity, my personality does present as such, but again, the theater, acting, like dancing, that was not really a clear view, at least maybe in my consciousness. So I did that, and I remember really loving it. And dance, I had some competitive dance friends, and it was like 5 days a week, and it was this whole thing. I just didn't have that. My family we did stuff like we went water skiing, and we had like family things going on, so that wasn't really an option. But down the road, I was thinking even in college, like I loved music or growing up, even before college, we would have like these 2-hour drives to the lake. It was like this lake where a group of humans um went there and like owned part of it, and everybody was like a competitive water skier. I don't know if they still do this kind of thing to this day, but long story short, there's not a ton of lakes or private lakes that you can go on where it's just you and one boat at a time, so the water's not super choppy. If you're a competitive water skier, you know what I'm talking about, and if you're not, it's not super relevant. But long story short, we'd have this long drive because my family's big into water skiing and whatnot. Everybody competed, etc. I actually won a tournament one time. We'll unpack that on a different podcast. And we'd have these long drives. So we would all have like all of our batteries and like our Walkman, and then eventually our Discman, and, like a bag of batteries. It was so funny. And we would just listen to our music back and forth. And my first tape was Salt and Peppa, Black's Magic. And I knew every word, every song, side A, side B, secret songs, like the whole thing. And it was so cool that in my ear early on were like strong women talking about express yourself and let's talk about sex and like all these like really aggressive messages. I probably wasn't over like 11 or 12, and the music to me was just an outlet, and I was just in my own zone. We were in my headphones, so I remember listening to like Michael Jackson, Will You Be There, and just like the choir part and tearing up. And I don't know, there was just something that hit my soul early on, and I had this concentrated time every weekend, and probably outside of that as well, where you're just sitting there listening to music in your own world. So fast forward, through college and everything, like I don't know that I realized how much I leaned back into music at different times as a support system, as a friend, as something and someone to relate to, and a voice to be heard, and not have the capacity to say, but no. And I know that I'm not the only one in that. That's why music is so incredible. I would always say, athletics like the Olympics and food and drink and all these things are such great unifiers, and the magic of all those things that brings it together. I think music is the absolute number one thing that can transcend all barriers and really ignite unity in a different way and into a different depth. So again, not this language back in the day. I didn't realize how important it was. And then fast forward, I obviously played lacrosse in college, and then CrossFit took over. So fitness was kind of always the main North Star. But as I thought back to my college years, I met a guy that was working for a label. I was still into music then, and like I was thinking like, what do I want to do after college? And the 9 to 5 thing wasn't really appealing. And this was like before I was really contemplating starting a business, or maybe I was going to do it alongside. I don't really remember. But before I graduated, I did 2 internships, one with Outlook Music. I don't even know if they're still around in downtown Denver. It was a football Bronco players label, super small, and they had offices downtown right off Broadway. I don't even think those offices exist anymore. And they had some local artists, and they did some cool initiatives. They had like a compilation album that they did with Red Rocks, and like U2 is on it. So there's like some big moves for Denver, Colorado, which, at the time really wasn't a big music city, and still kind of isn't. We're thriving. We're making moves, but it's just not like a New York or LA. And I hope we stay the way we are. And the scene continues to grow. And I hope Turmeric and Tequila continues to unite some of our creatives, myself included. And I was just trying to like get in the flow. And then I interned at House of Blues. It was pretty quick. I was pretty busy that summer. I was doing CRS lacrosse and training in Vail and whatnot, and had adult teams competing. So I dabbled in it, and the more I got into it, something in it just didn't align. And when I was graduating college, I met this guy that was in the music industry, and I can't remember, he had an emerging artist who gave me a bunch of CDs, and I remember bringing him to practice, asking my teammates, I'm like, what do you think? This guy wants feedback. I can't remember if he was a label owner or he was like A&R, which A&R, artist and repertoire. I'm not even sure. A&R doesn't really even exist anymore. The music industry has changed so much, but my senior year, I remember really digging in and like just taking my own notes of like, I think it was Bertelman's group that it was out in UK and it was overseas, and they owned like Arista Records, which was like Whitney's label, or I'm probably mixing these up, but it was all these conglomerates that now are like Live Nation and everything else. And I was just learning the business, and I was trying to take notes of who was where. I think when my friend Paul and I went to go see Whitney Houston in New York, we went to the headquarters of Arista Records and just stood outside like total weirdos. And I, even to this day, I can't fully remember this. I'll have to ask Paula, or maybe I just like dreamt this. I don't know. It's you're getting up there when you're not sure what part is reality and what part is like literal dreaming, which is probably honestly not the worst thing.
Hi there. This is Laura Mahoney from Lux Neuro, Neurofeedback and Counseling. We are bringing you stories of transformation each podcast. Imagine how we can transform your life. Grief transformation. I love my mom, and I miss her so much. She died over a decade ago. My fondest memories were of her at Christmas time. She loved the season and especially loved her Christmas tree. Since she died, Christmas for me has been hard. Each year I waited till the last minute to put up my own Christmas tree and then immediately took it down the night of Christmas. This was my experience for years. Last year, I started neurofeedback. I have had incredible changes from sleeping to no anxiety nor depression. What was unexpected was the resolution of my seasonal grief cycle. It just disappeared. I couldn't believe it. It was 2 weeks into January when I realized my tree was still up, and I was happy. I now can create joyful memories at Christmas instead of feeling dread, all thanks to neurofeedback.
Anyways, so as I was just thinking about this choir and this pull now, as I was reflecting, I'm like, God, this has really kind of been in the mix, and my love for music and wanting to get in has always been there. That at the time, at college or getting, in college, kind of working with it. I think I even applied to like this contest through Visa where you like write a plan on what you would do for new artists. And my plan was essentially to do what like Motown did and put all the artists in a bus and just tour and do like the grassroots thing. Honestly, that's probably something I would do to this day. If someone asked me, how would I get like a label off the ground outside of a boatload of cash and, digital marketing and anything YouTube and social media. That was what I submitted. I can't remember what that. Long story short, I think it's super interesting to reflect and see like, dang, I was like actually a student of the game. I was a better student of trying to figure out the music business and how to get into it than I was of my actual college. And then when I did the internships and everything, the more I got in the community, I'm like, something's just out of alignment. And it wasn't even that it was bad. However, I will say at the time, this is when, all the hardcore, females are being objectified, and a lot of the documentaries that have come out, around 99 of Woodstock, and like there's all this gray area on like Me Too. That wasn't a thing yet. And there's just something about the party and the lifestyle. Obviously, I'm here for those things, but it was just not in a fit for me. And so that's right when the CrossFit bug, I'm pretty sure, bit, and like I just went a totally different direction. So now that I'm kind of segueing or just taking CrossFit and fitness more casual, I think this bug is biting even more. And the more Turmeric and Tequila inspires me, I mean, it's really out here to unify people and bring community and mental health and, in alignment and getting the right people together. And that's kind of the next level. That is the choir. So if you've listened, I keep talking about this. Like, what do you want to do? I'm like, oh, I ultimately want to build a choir. And I just wanted to get on and just unpack it because it feels close. And if you're spiritual, intuitive, religious, however you label it, maybe this makes sense. When something just kind of keeps showing up in your world or in your heart or in your mind, however you label it, and like you just can't shake it. It's not even that I want to shake it, but it's getting more and more powerful and relevant and almost feels like tangible and close. And keep in mind, you heard my musical background. I danced for a talent show at Creekside Elementary in, I don't even know, like 95, or no, it was like 90s, like early. I was like third, fourth, fifth, I think I went to fifth grade. So third, fourth, or fifth grade, like young. That's the extent of it. I don't read music. I don't sing music. I sing in the car. There's always time to do new things. So no matter how old you are, I think you can still do new things. But my point is, this is not necessarily my background. So it's bizarre to me that this feels like such a calling and something in there. And anyone that knows, if you've felt compelled or you're just kind of obsessed with this thing or something's pulling you, you doubt it in some capacity. Like as we become adults, like there's logical, thought and rationalization of like, what is this? Am I tired? Am I hungover? Am I just dreaming? Is this a thing? Am I crazy? Like all the questioning comes in. So if you're listening, you're like, yeah, I want to do this. I want to be a star or be this. And it's kind of like, yeah, but you grow up and you move on. Well, yes. And if it were that easy, if it wasn't keeping me up at night, I hear you. And if you're listening and you're like, I get it. This is something that, there's this thing I've always wanted to do, or something that's pulling me in a direction, even if it doesn't make sense, which just kind of doesn't make sense. It does a little bit more as I travel down my path of my past. And as a young person loving music and loving gospel music and unity and choir and all of it. And again, it's still not something that I'm done or familiar with. So it kind of doesn't make sense. So I hope all of this somehow makes sense as I ramble. But I wanted to get on the mic and just say, I want to build a choir. And I think if there's something that's calling you and pulling you, You got to show up and answer and find a way to unpack it. I have absolutely no idea how this comes to fruition. I don't know the right people to contact. I don't know the right steps to make. Of course, I can get on Google. I've done that. I've looked up gospel choirs in Denver and just started some easy, quick steps. I've built a playlist on Spotify that I've entitled TNT Ball, and it's all the songs that I want included in this choir performance. So it's more than a choir. I want a choir in a community, but it's really like this performance that I see that we have a couple of music modalities. I'm not even going to unpack too much of it because I do want to keep some of it a secret. But it's not something I think you've seen before. I need to do some more research. But as much as I've done, this is a unique setup. The songs you would for sure know, and that's part of it. But how they're remixed and combined and like the message that weaves through will be a little bit unique. And on top of that, it'll obviously be something along fashion. I want a fashion show weaved into it, and then a fundraiser. So we're intentionally getting people together, unified through the music, and then the branding and the music and the apparel will be a piece you can kind of take with you, and like it'll be the title of what the community means, if that makes sense. So if you're rocking TNT and you go to the experience, you're like, yes, I'm part of that community. It makes sense. That's my church essentially in some capacity. And then obviously we'll figure out some way to benefit a cause or causes larger than ourselves, and we'll get people together intentionally. So, but I just see this moment in time where it's incredible songs, incredible humans singing it. They're not only talented musically, but they have something to say, and facilitating this opportunity to be seen and heard for our young people is just something that is just, that's the means of the choir. So I'm kind of just even riffing right now. Like I wish I could better explain what this pull is, but I have this vision of this giant performance. We've got a choir, like I said, some other unique live setup, and it's perhaps at-risk youth or just humans that have something to truly say. Obviously, they're talented in musical regard, and they can come out and just bleed their message. And I don't know where it builds from there or what it fully means, but even for one moment in time to have everyone together, understanding and united in voice, and having this opportunity to feel tangible hope and walk out of there energized to be excited about whatever it is you want to pursue or whatever it is you've been thinking about, dreaming about doing, or maybe you're already doing it so you feel energized to go back to it. It's not the conference where you come in and you get 5 things to do to level up your digital marketing or whatever. It's not that. It's something where you show up and you just feel. There's no like hard end game or major call to action, which every thing will tell you then you need to have that. Well, I don't care. My call to action would literally just be show up, feel hope, and then really think about what it is you actually want to do or what your authentic self you feel like what it is that you're here to do, and pursue that. I think the second we pursue our passion and our purpose, or we are feeling in alignment in this world, that's when we're truly giving back and being our authentic selves in pursuit of our authentic purpose is how we quote unquote heal the world or do a little bit better, be a little bit more responsible. Varsity Human is literally just about personal accountability and keeping yourself accountable, advocating for yourself, getting yourself on track. And again, finding that purpose, being a parent, being a coach, being a business person, being a spiritual person, whatever it is, it doesn't matter how it's packaged. It's just that we're seeking it out intentionally. And through that, we are living our best lives and again contributing to this positive energy in this world. So it sounds very woo. I do, however, we talk about physics and energy. It's measurable. Energy is physics. So if you want to go on the science route, that's that. If we can get a ton of humans together that just feel that tangible positivity and that energy to go to get energy, to get re-energized and go out there and do whatever it is that you do, however different or crazy it sounds. Again, I'm Kristen Olson, the business athlete, telling you I'm going to build a choir, that I'm going to build a choir. I don't even know. Maybe somebody will hear this and call me and say, I get it. I see you. Let's do this, XYZ. I have it visualized and planned out more than it sounds right now. But this podcast is really just about saying it out loud. So if there's something on your mind and maybe you want to be a mom, maybe you want to be a coach, maybe you want to start a business, maybe you want to just start walking 50 feet a day to start your fitness journey, and you just take a step in the right direction. I always say steps, not strides. Like just start doing something. But I really do think it talks about, or the first steps are putting out into the world and speaking your truth and saying what it is that you want. So universe, I am here. Use me how you want. I'm getting the message. We're going to build this choir. I'm going to figure it out. I see this moment in time that will hopefully positively impact things. The point of Turmeric and Tequila, this was another thing that just kind of downloaded, was to inspire positive radical social evolution. It's in all of our language, in all of our websites and social media and everything else. And it's still kind of like, okay, I get it. I like it. What does that fully mean? And I'm sitting in it with you saying like, well, it's seemingly opposing things can harmoniously coexist. And, you know, we can gracefully disrupt status quo. And if we build out these humans that are, you know, disrupting status quo and living their truth, and, you know, everybody's doing it a little bit more right. Collectively, we're doing it that much more right. And through that, maybe we can get a choir together and we facilitate that physical positive energy, that tangible positive energy, and people get motivated to go out and do their thing. And it's a lighthearted, fun moment, and it's really deeply intentional on getting to your heart space and inspiring you to do your way. So this is me riffing and rambling. I hope this makes sense. I encourage you to say out loud whatever it is you want and put it out there. Even if it's crazy, even if this doesn't make sense, I don't know that this fully makes sense. And yeah, I'm showing up, I'm saying it, and I feel that it's close and it's going to happen. And we'll see what actually manifests. The other part of this that I would say is have your vision, pursue it intentionally, pursue a path that is just worthy of your time and energy, and let go just enough, because oftentimes / always, if you let go just enough, just keep showing up, but you kind of just let God, universe, Madonna take over, I think the vision, the goal, the dream, the pull will be even bigger and better than whatever it is you're imagining. And it's hard, as easy as I can say that, it's super hard for me to lean in and just trust and just think, okay, is this just going to happen? Like, where in the F do I start on this? Like, what is this? Yes, I can do all the logical Googling and the basic things, but like, really, how do we, like, what is step one? And I just think somehow it's going to come through and we'll figure it out. So I'm letting the universe know I'm here. I'm showing up. We're open to it. This is what I want. I think it's what I'm meant to do alongside this podcast. Somehow it's all going to meld together. And ideally we'll have this incredible moment in time that hopefully ripples through to whatever it needs to inspire people to seek out their passion, do their thing. And that ripple of positive energy just continues. Maybe spirit took over today. I don't know. I hope this makes sense. We're putting it out there at minimum. If you've listened to all this and you're thinking WTF, I'm with you. We're figuring it out, but just put out to the universe what you want and then let go just enough to let it happen and unfold in an even bigger fashion than you imagined. That's all I got for you today. I'm going to give a thank you to our sponsors. Thank you, Lux Neuro, Neurofeedback and Counseling. Lux Neuro wants to meet you. If you are ready to transform your life, visit them at luxneuro.com to schedule a consultation. Declan James watches, keeping it out here and keeping us on time. Well, sometimes, but at least looking good as we do. So check them out. Veteran owned, 10% goes back to the Navy SEAL Foundation. We're out here doing big dreams. If you are a singer, if you're local in Denver, you have choir experience, some of this resonates with you. I've got the vision. I've got the idea. I know how I want to direct it, and I still need all the pieces. So I am open to building the team, any opportunity. If it speaks to you, reach out to me. I'm accessible. If you want to be in the mix, I'm just opening this up. And if this lands at all, call me. Let's do this. We're going to be building a choir and making it happen. So cheers to your dreams and goals. Answer the call and feel the pull. Don't be afraid of chasing the dream, even if you can't figure out the dream, and keep showing up to just do what we got to do. And most importantly, enjoy this ride. So let's go. Have a great day. I'll see you on the next podcast soon. Cheers.
Thank you for joining Turmeric and Tequila with your host, Kristen Olson. Tune in next time, and don't forget to subscribe on Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.